Stephen Adams with Laurie Earle in session here on Six Music with Living in the Local Void, which is a number found on the latest LP Drops, for which, Stephen, as I understand it, you broke the pattern, whereby in the past you'd recorded in a hurry. This time you took your time. Is that right?
That's true, yeah. I think it's become a thing that you make a record quickly, and that feels like a valid, beautiful thing to do. But the record we made before this, that we finished just before the lockdown, before the pandemic, we did all on the floor, really super earnest, live, couldn't be more real. And then this one, I wanted to break it down and spend ages on it, like spend bits of time at home and stuff.
And go elsewhere. So you started off in Wales, is that right?
Yeah, started off in Wales with Dan and Dave, the rhythm section, and then we went to Big Jelly in Ramsgate, this this lovely little chapel that's a studio.
Yeah.
And then me and Laurie did some stuff in Hackney, and then I did some stuff in France, and yeah, just took ages on it.
That bit in France and at home was when, in France, as I understand it, you're largely working alone on it when it came to that stage. Mm-hmm. And as you say, taking your time over it. Tom from Fika Recordings must have been curious as to what was going on. This is the label. Did he get in touch often to say for an update?
He did. No, actually, he was good at kind of leaving me alone, and then every so often just a gentle nudge. And I've said this a few times, but I kept saying to him, it will take a bit longer, and it will take a bit longer, but it's going to sound like it was done in an afternoon or something. But I think there's something wonderful about spending time on a project rather than just rushing it. It just felt like a lovely, indulgent thing to do, just changing melodies, re-recording things, like painting over stuff.
You said indulgent, but possibly it's the normal thing to do from here on, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and there was a whole swathe of time where we were getting the keyboards done, so I'd be popping around Michael, the keyboards player's place, to hear what he was up to. And that just felt like a breath of fresh air. Like I wasn't doing anything, and I was waiting for him to take ages. Yeah, it was a nice thing to do.
Somebody else's turn to take a long time besides yourself. And the result is a really, really good record. And
Thanks,
in terms of the themes of the record, or the moods of the record, there's tenderness, there's anger, there's a certain amount of bewilderment, trepidation, all of which are welcome, by the way. Would you add anything else? Anything else to that?
No, there was. I mean, I've said there's like a preoccupation with time, and I'd realised I was trying to not repeat myself thematically. Like I've written a lot of songs and made a lot of records, and I didn't want to like retread the same stuff. And then obviously you do, because you only write 2 or 3 different types of song. But when I got to the end of it, I realised there's a real preoccupation with the passing of time on it, and I think that's where the bewilderment bit comes from. You know, like how does it go so quickly, or how does it take so long to get from one end of a bad day to another?
Yeah, and there's no answer to that, is there really, I suppose, but it just does.
I was hoping that we could get the answer tonight.
Maybe we can. Between us all, we can find the answer to that and the rest of life's mysteries. And I like the fact that such areas are then juxtaposed with proper anger and reflecting your view of the world outside and the political world outside as well. And that's been the case with previous records as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's a proper little bit of politics, and I think that's as far as I go. Like a few records ago, I did something that was kind of angry about the state of things, he said vaguely, and then I realised that every time I was writing a batch of songs, that I'd channel all the kind of angry stuff into one tune, and they tend not to be like angry sounding songs.
No.
But it's yeah.
And the melodies, man, is what I've written down here, which are still coming to you, and touch with long may that continue. Do you jot them down? Do you double check when you've got a particular tune that you haven't heard it before, used it before? Does it go like that?
I'm terrible at that. Like I will record stuff on my phone. Like I've come up with I'm sure everyone who writes songs does this, but I'll put a voice note in my phone that'll be like, this is the greatest tune I've ever written. And then you listen back to it a month later and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But I think melodies I'm really lucky. I work with some brilliant musicians, and they all find a billion melodies, and I think that helps me find other stuff in there.
A couple of shows coming up. What are you planning to play in terms of repertoire for the shows that you're going to do this weekend?
We are doing a classic blend of some songs from the new record.
Very good.
And some older songs. Somebody said the other night at rehearsal we're not doing that many songs off the new record, so we slammed a few more in there. But we're trying to please the old guard, who are pretty old now, and keep ourselves interested.
This is Friday night, Castle Hotel, Oldham Street, Manchester. Saturday night, Portland Arms in Cambridge. 2 more tunes to come. Do you want to do these 2 back to back? Would it work like that?
Sure.
Okay, what's the first one going to be?
We'll do Tears of Happiness, which is an old one.
Okay.